Hello and welcome back to the show. So I am super excited today to be sitting here with my guest, Scott, who is with the company Real Synch. And Scott is an expert in working with real estate agents and teams in the past, and he still is. And today we're going to be digging all into how real estate agents can create more systems and structure in their business so that way they have more time on their hands to focus on high leverage activities, income producing activities, and as well as have a little bit of time to spend with their family and friends and really enjoy the success and the business that they've built as well. So I'm super excited today to be talking with Scott, and I want to welcome him to the show. Welcome.
Thanks, Kobe. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, excited to talk through this stuff and talk through business and automation and leverage and all those things to help the real estate agent run the best business and have the best life they can, on the journey, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited to get your take because you are really an expert in business development for real estate agents. And I would love for us to be able to kind of dig into, how you got started in this industry, how you got started working with real estate agents, and, why was this the path that you were kind of taking on before digging into anything else?
Yeah, definitely, man. So it kind of actually starts all the way back at college. I got an English lit degree. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And immediately, I had a referral, got a job at a loan office as a loan processor, realized I was not good at devils in the details at all. And so promptly left that job. But I did get a better apprenticeship, learning to become a certified home appraiser. So I became a home appraiser. I think that was a little more up my alley. Sometimes you're outside, sometimes you're doing the paperwork, right? Did that for a long time. So that's really where I got my real estate chops and understood got to learn about real estate, the market, homes, anything and everything that that's involved in a real estate transaction. And then from there, I transitioned into doing more sales driven type work after the real estate market crashed in 2008 and learned to do B2B sales, and then came full circle back to working in the real estate space and starting to consult real estate agents and teams on marketing, business growth, lead generation, lead conversion, systems, processes. I mean, I've worked with agents on all these different things over the years, and eventually I became one of the starting members of Real Synch with some other partners, and our company focused on building a middleware solution, kind of like Zapier, but for real estate specific applications. And we started working with teams on the technology side of things and automation to just make sure that they can seamlessly integrate their tech stacks and data flow and reduce errors and reduce manual entry and just create efficiencies in their business with technology.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
You have a really interesting story, kind of coming from that, I would say, time period in real estate and having to have gone through that real estate crash. And I think a lot of agents are a little bit scared at this moment about maybe going through something similar to that, just based on the entire industry as a whole and some of the recent changes with the real estate, how real estate agents are being compensated as well. So having gone through that yourself and kind of being a part of the industry at that time, what would you say are some of the things that really kind of helped you survive that, if you will? Or looking back, what are some things you might maybe have done differently, and kind of what have you seen of other real estate agents who were able to take that as an opportunity instead of something that propelled them backwards?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, man. So when that all happened in 2008, I was pretty young, man. I think I was maybe 26, 27 at the time. And honestly, I did not handle it as well as I could have. If I had been a little bit more seasoned and experienced and mature, I think at the time, I would have embraced the change that happened. So at that time with appraising, because loan officers were fraudulently just writing like, 105 interest only loans on a 3-1 arm, and just like were like the whole reason the market completely went to shambles. Appraisers got kind of brought into that too and kind of got blamed for a lot of it as well. And so they added these intermediary companies, to the appraisal process. Like we used to be able to work directly with the loan office, and the loan officers would send us the appraisal requests. There wasn't like a third party in between. And that was one of the regulations that got put in because of everything that happened with the crash. And honestly, like I would have had to start from scratch. My apprentice couldn't keep me on anymore as an appraiser, so I would have to start my own business, and I didn't adjust with the change. And so that's what I would say to agents now is that there's a lot happening. I mean, we have all these lawsuits. I mean, NAR, everyone's paying up. All these big brokerages are paying off and settling for these mistakes they've made. And we're seeing this effect that's going to trickle down eventually, to the agent and how they're compensated and how, and then is the market going to pick back up? Are the rates going to stay at 8%, right? Or 7%? And like, so it's a lot happening all at one time. So I'd say don't don't come from a place of scarcity. Identify like what needs to change in your business and be the first one to start making changes for what's going to be the new way of doing real estate, rather than like, getting scared of it, which is what happened to me. And I went a different direction for a time being before I came full circle back into real estate. Embrace the change, embrace technology specifically for leverage, right? Like there's solutions now can make phone calls for you that are like a real AI person that sounds unbelievable. Like I know people are probably gonna be scared of that type of stuff, but think about the leverage, think about all the calls you can't make and all the things you can't do, right? And that will enable you to do those things, right? So I think my piece of advice would be, buckle down, focus on your business, that activity as well. You may have to spend more time on your business right now while you're not maybe getting quite as much business, to prepare yourself for the next phase of what real estate's going to be like.
Right, absolutely. And that's really good advice for, I think,
Yeah.
agents because, you haven't gone through that and seeing a lot of other agents who might have taken that not as an opportunity, but as something that really, drove them out of the real estate industry. You can see that there's really two types of mindsets there, right? When
Yeah.
there's adversity, you can either take advantage of it and really use it as an opportunity to make yourself different and, really better than everybody else, or you can take that and just quit and go into another business or do something else and not
Yeah.
embrace it.
I mean, look, if you're motivated either way, you're gonna be successful and fail forward, right? But if you really want to stay in the business, a lot of people are gonna leave, right? And that's what happened in '08. I mean, I can't even tell you. I think half the agent pool went away at that time, right? So, but the other half was like they found ways to grind it out to get through that recession and come out the other side. And those are the ones that have some of the most successful real estate businesses right now because they made it through that downturn, right? And so that's what I'd say. I mean, we're not quite in the same position, but still, like embrace change, make sure that you're standing out, like you said, because as people leave, there's gonna be more market share for you to pick up, right?
Right. And that's the important point there, right?
Yeah,
Because there's there's always going to be a market for real estate agents. Is Are you in that market or have you left that market, right? And are doing something else. So I would love for us to kind of dig a little bit into technology and automation because that is something that you are definitely an expert in. And I think you can talk a lot about that. So, what is
yeah.
it that you guys do for agents specifically as far as helping them, really helping them build their business so that way they're not super stressed out. And as they go through changes like this, they're able to really take advantage of these changes and also have a streamlined business that is professional to the clients and also something that is manageable by themselves.
Yeah. So another really great question, man. So one of the, to I guess to answer what we do is, we have a proprietary platform that has pre-built integrations. So some integrations, I'll give you an example, like Google Contacts to your CRM. I think we have it built out with 4 different CRMs that people use: Fall Boss, Sierra, Boomtown, and Real Geeks, right? So that'd be one example of where you can just go and basically connect your phone and add a lead to your phone, and then it will shoot into your CRM, right? And you can just go set that up on your own. So that's one kind of example. We have pre-built integrations like that. You can go to our integrations tab on our website. There's tons of different apps that we connect to. And then the other part that we currently offer is like a service part. So what I tell agents when I consult them, Kobe, is like, I go, look, there's tons of tech coming out all the time. There's so many shiny new technologies, and it's easy to get like excited and roped in. But the reality is, if you don't have the time or bandwidth to use that solution and maximize it, then you're just wasting your money. And the second part of that is, have you actually maximized the solutions you already have? Are you using them to, I mean, it's hard to use something 100%, right? But like, is it the 80/20, right? Like, are you using it at 80% to where it's really effective and efficient for you? And if the answer to that question is no, then I would start with the systems you have, figure out how they fit in with your process from the time you generate a lead to the time that lead closes and goes on to like a nurture campaign for the next decade. Do you have that process in place? If you do, then focus on how you can use your systems to enhance that process. And then you're going to be able to understand maybe where you're missing tech to fit into that process. And then you bring the technology in to fit into the process you want to have for that particular customer experience. So it's a different way of approaching using technology rather than just grabbing the next shiny new piece of tech, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think there's a lot of agents out there, especially those who are a little bit more tech savvy, that love to do exactly that, right? They love to grab onto that new software that just came out, that new integration platform, or digging all into AI. We see agents doing that all the time. And a question that, yeah, I guess I have for people and a lot of other agents who are more process driven, or I guess more results driven, have is, well, what does this do for my business, right? What can this do? How does this increase my income? How does this decrease the time I'm spending in my business? And that's a really important question to ask before integrating anything. Would you say that's the case? Is identifying the goal of what this is going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you have to kind of follow the trail of the consumer, right? And like realize like, all right, if I'm generating so many leads, like the first thing is like, are they automating into my CRM to creating a new lead, right? First basic step, but I can't tell you how many times we get hired just to set up mail parsers, right? Because people aren't doing that. Um, and then it's like, all right, now it's in my CRM. Do I have automation for every type of lead that comes in? A campaign, a text? Is there a phone call? Is that an automated phone call? Am I making the phone call? Someone else making the phone call? What's the cadence of those phone calls? What's the cadence of contacts, or the amount of contacts you're trying to make, right? Is all that happening? Do you have follow-up tasks set, right? Because we know devil's in the details of follow-ups. Like that's a lot of basic stuff that you literally have two different systems that you can do all of that with, right? And then it goes, all right, when it gets to a certain stage, like, am I sending out some direct mail, or is it going to a transaction management system? Do I have a whole task management solution to track like when they've signed to close, and are they getting all the communication they need? Like, what's that customer journey, right? You really have to identify that so that you can go back, and then which lead sources are providing you the highest rate of conversion? Do you know those numbers? Do you have that visibility with the systems that you have, right? So that you can maybe spend more money on the leads that are converting the highest, and pull those levers, right? So that's the type of insight that you need to have in your business in order to understand like how to go get another tech that integrates. Obviously, you never add a new technology solution if there's data on an island, right? Because now you're asking yourself to log into multiple systems or agents that are on your team. And we know how that goes. Like, trying to change behavior of an agent is, if someone figures that out, then I mean, they're going to be a billionaire. You know what I mean? Like, uh, so asking them to go and log into multiple systems, bad idea, right? So if you are adding any solution, make sure that it does integrate to your CRM and you have one place or one source of truth for your data.
Wow, that's very important, and I do want to I do want to touch back on that a little bit later. But I did have a question for you that I think a lot of agents out there who may or may not be integrating any type of automation or technology in their business. Surprisingly enough, I think we all know agents out there who are still just using a notebook and a pen and a phone, and that's the extent, right, of the usage of technology,
Yeah.
is all of those things. But what would you say is probably the simplest way for an active agent to integrate some type of automation in their business today? And what would you say, is something that is easily missed by agents that maybe they have just a misconception of how difficult it is, that will have, I would say, the highest return for them to integrate that automation, invest that time, and it's going to give them the best return on the time they've invested.
Yeah, so I think it starts, man, with like you got to have a CRM at this point, you know. Um, and so most CRMs have an app that you can have on your phone where you can go in and just like put in, contact data and like create a contact on the fly. Um, if you don't, I mean, again, this is have a CRM, right? If you don't have it, maybe you work off of Google Contacts or Google Sheet, right? And like you're putting in data, but just not a really good process, right? Because now you have a place where you're putting in data, but not really a way to add follow-up tasks, right? Which we know the follow-up is so important to conversion, right? Those go hand in hand because most people aren't answering their phones right away, right? Like all the leads that you're generating, either not answering right away or they're not ready right away, right? And you have to like follow up with them, right? So a CRM allows you to have that task and reminder. Okay, so that's one of the first things that I recommend to anybody. From there, like I think the simplest automation or integrations, what I mentioned earlier, is something from your phone, your tablet, whether it's just adding a contact to your phone and shooting it into your CRM, whether you do it through us or through Zapier. There's a lot of Zaps out there for different solutions, depending on what you're using, or even your phone to a Google Sheet. You could do that through Zapier. Very simple automation. Or let's say like you're doing an event, you're at an open house, you're out somewhere where you're getting lead information. Like if you're getting lead information, it's just going into your phone and you have to go then put it in a different system later, like whew, that is not a good process. That is the number one automation I would figure out. Like whether it's like a Cognito form or a Google form, something where once you hit that submit button, it automatically goes to your CRM, and then you have an automated welcome email set up to go out immediately with some basic information about who you are, your business, your offer, a home search link to your IDX or whatever it ends up being. Like that email will be the number one opened and delivered email if it's timely, right? So that's what I like. It's the best thing. Imagine if you're at an open house and you get someone's info and you like hit submit, and then like 5 seconds later, they get a ding on their phone with the welcome email. And like, they just got it, right? And it happened like that. Like now you're top of mind. Like you've sent them info, you've educated them in some sense. Like, man, that's the number one thing I recommend. Like that is the most basic thing that you can have set up.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you mentioned that because I was literally having this exact same conversation with an agent yesterday, who, and this is a top producing agent in our market, and he was talking about how he needed to set up an automation where he can take the contacts on his phone and immediately upload it to the email list that he sends for his email newsletters every week, and there you go. So it's
There
the
you go. Right. So
automation.
like depending on what mail solution you're using, okay, if you have it from your phone, that can go to your CRM and then directly to your mail solution. So we have another integration, and Zap has lots of them too. From the CRM to like MailChimp or to Emma or to whatever, like we use MailerLite for our newsletter internally. And like everyone that comes into my HubSpot goes into my MailerLite. Like I'm not sitting there adding contacts to my list in my email marketing solution. There's no way. It's like there's so many solutions out there to have set up. Like that's basic, and but it starts there, right? And I get it. I get it's overwhelming because there's so much to do as a real estate agent. A lot of times, like you're wearing like 3 or 4 hats. Even if you have a team, you're wearing a lot of hats as a team lead, especially if you're in production still. Like I get how some of this stuff can get overlooked, and maybe you're not in a position to have hired an operations person to handle a lot of this administrative stuff. Right? A lot of times, real estate agents hire more agents first to do more sales, and then they hire an admin to get the signed contract over the finish line. but they don't actually have an operations person until till later. That's like your 10th hire, right? And so I get why this stuff falls through the cracks.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, for most real estate agents, that's like a foreign language to them. It's like, what's an operations person? Like, who's that? Why do I need that? I'm a real estate agent. I need agents and I need admin and I need VAs,
Sell,
right?
sell, sell. Yeah.
Exactly. They speak one language and that's selling. So, it's
Yeah, it's
you
tough. It's tough. I understand the pain. I mean, I've had so many of these conversations, Kobe, and it's like, and sometimes you're the type of team lead and owner of the business where you can step back and go, all right, I'm going to spend like 5 hours a week, like working on my business, not in it as a producer, but on it. Right. But sometimes you're not that person, and that's okay. But like, understand the type of person and leader you are and where you focus and where you thrive, and spend some money to hire someone else to do it for you then, whether it's full-time, part-time, on contract, whatever it is, to get the things done that you need done within your business to set up this type of automation, whether it's in your CRM or integration or whatever. There's companies out there that can support you. You can go on Upwork and hire, contract, just project-based people to do projects for you, because that's how important some of this stuff is. And if you can't hire a full-time person, maybe that's the best solution, right?
right. And it's, if you've never set up an automation before, we all know how difficult it is. Right.
It I can't, man, I can't explain how complicated it can be, right? And like, I'm not very good at it. I have some amazing employees that I've hired to do it for me, right? Because I'm a business development person. I know my lane. Like, you put me inside a Zapier and I can like search and say, oh, it looks like these two can connect. But then once you get to the next step, I'm out. That's when it goes to my support director, right? My service director. So like, know your lane, right? Like, I run a technology company. I don't know how to do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know how
just,
to do it.
you're
I
the
have,
communications guy.
yeah, I have 3 full stack developers. I'm thinking about what should be happening, and then I have them go make it work, right? But like, it's the same for a real estate agent that's running their business. Like, know your lane, know what you're good at, understand like where you thrive and what you like to do. Right. This goes back to what we talked about at the very beginning about living the life you want to live, right? But that also goes for like not outside of work, in work, like understand what you where you thrive and what you do, and then go find other people that can do it 100 times better than you, man. you know
Yeah, exactly. And there's always somebody out there, right? There's always somebody
yeah,
out there whose time is worth you paying for them to get this thing done for you so that you can use your time and leverage it for more, more income producing activities, more activities to
absolutely.
grow your business.
Instead of getting stuck like trying to figure out how to put up, do a zap, like use those 4 hours to make a bunch of phone calls, get one deal in the pipeline. All of a sudden now you have an extra, $9,000 of commission money or whatever it ends up being, where you can then allocate some of that for like these projects, right? And then like it snowballs for you in a forward momentum way rather than the up and down way that will end up happening with your lead gen if you're getting stuck doing some of this stuff and not doing more income producing activities, which is phone calls, follow-ups, text, emails, events, everything client facing, right? To generate more leads.
Right. Exactly. And I would love to kind of get your take on this that we talked a little bit about earlier in the show that you had brought up, which is if you are a team leader or if you have other real estate agents that you're working with, creating systems and automations for not just yourself, but for your entire team so that everybody can integrate in these systems. So, what would you say are some things that, because we all know, right, it's a lot different for an individual to adopt a system, right? And they decided to change their mind and they decided that, okay, so this is going to help my business versus you as an individual adopting a system for 10 other agents, right? And helping them develop their business and trying to get them on board with the new system that you've developed. So what would you say are some of the things that can, I guess, increase the number of agents in your team to actually adopt the system that you created if you were doing something like that as a team leader and putting in a new system? Because we all know, like we said earlier, it's hard to change the agent's behavior.
Yeah. So it starts with proving to the agents. Well, first of all, the whole like mindset of like, I do it, we do it, now you do it, right? Like you have to, as the owner, prove this new system process by doing it first. You can't just like bring it in and then say, all right, you guys all do it. And I don't know anything about it, right? That they're not gonna fall suit if you do that, right? So the first step is like proving out what you want done, right? And then um also like how does it directly affect the agent's income, right? So you have to show like, all right, hey, if we add this system in place and it increases, let's say, our speed to lead, right? Then it's going to increase the amount of contacts you're making, which then will increase the amount of deals that you're converting, right? So kind of showing the path to more money to where now your agent's averaging 4 deals a month instead of 3 deals a month. And over a year, that's a lot more income, right? So I think for agents to change behavior, you really have to show them the path that this particular system or automation or whatever you're doing, how it leads to them making more money and building the life that they're trying to build within your business, right? And then they'll take ownership on this new process or automation or system, right? And so an example would be like, again, you know, like if they're doing reach out on their cell phone and not calling through the system, which they should be calling through the system, the CRM, right? So you can track and log the calls and see what's happening. But let's say they're calling on their phone, like having just one process in place to go, look, it's mandatory for you to put in a note on the contact and add an additional follow-up task on that particular contact. Like that's one process. That's not even really automation. That's manual, right? Because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is doing the phone call through the system. But if they're outside the system, you make that one process and you show them, look, the reality is if you do this and you get the notification in 6 weeks to call this person and you have the note of what actually happened when you spoke to them the last time, so that when you call, you're not calling blind, your conversion rate is going to do this, right? And so I think that's where it really starts, man, to change agent behavior. You got to line it out to where they're making more income, because that's all that matters for an agent. That's all that should matter for an agent. They're a salesperson. It's all about making more money for salespeople. And like I've been in that hat many, many times. And all I wanted was appointments on my calendar for them to show up to the meeting so I can close them. Right. And that's all I want to do as a salesperson. I want to close, 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 close. All right. So how do you show that this new thing that they have to adopt is going to lead to more of those? Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the
Sorry, it was a long-winded answer. I apologize. Yeah.
No, it's all good. I think it's a great breakdown of what needs to happen, right? Not just from a team leader's perspective, but even if you're an individual agent looking to adopt a new system, kind of the mindset that you have to come from it is, what is this going to do? How is this going to be able to help me increase my income so that I can do more of what I do great, which is closing deals and servicing clients? And yeah, I would say like the biggest objection that agents have when it comes to adopting a new system is, you know, it takes too long to set up or it takes too long to learn. And investing that time is actually taking away from the time that they could be closing more deals, right? Because maybe they
Yeah.
have 5 clients in the pipeline or whatever. So what would you say to somebody who is like that, where maybe there's a system that they really like and they really want to adopt, but they're just like, I've been wanting to do this for months now and I still haven't gotten to it because I'm too busy servicing my clients.
Yeah, so you got to be careful, and you're right. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to add a solution if there's a lot of behavior change that needs to happen, right? So, like, if we go back and when I was talking about Google Contacts, like that's something where literally all you got to do is tell your agents, "Hey, you're going to get this email where you have to click allow so that you can connect your Google to the CRM." Right? Like that's the only thing you have to do. Then moving forward, when you add someone to your phone, as long as you put in an email, right? There's a couple little things they have to change, but not a huge behavior change, right? Just put in an email or a fake email if you don't have it, and that contact will automate into the CRM. And then we can set up automation based on the lead source of adding a follow-up task and tags, and there'll be a note put in there. All that happens automatically. So sometimes the system that you're adding doesn't have a huge behavior change. It's minimal, right? So those are the types of things you want to be doing and adding in, but having those contacts automated will allow you to say, hey, you know what? Maybe every 2 out of 10 that you're adding to your phone, you're forgetting because something happens during the day and you're forgetting to add to the CRM, and then you never follow up with them, right? Maybe it's not that high. I don't know. But the point is that you eliminate that. So then you can say, look, all this is happening automatically. It's going to help you with conversion. And it's a small change. So how do you make the smallest behavior changes to get the biggest bang for your buck? I think that's the type of system that you're looking for, not something that's like a big hurdle and block where they have to like log in and like do all this stuff that's gonna like, and they don't understand how it's leading to more conversion, you know?
Right, absolutely. So
Yeah.
it's, think about like opportunity cost, right? So what is it going to cost you to set this up? And then what is it going to provide you? Because sometimes,
Yeah.
it is worth your time to maybe take some time to set, maybe a week or so to set up a system, and it can really generate you a lot more leads and get you a lot more closings, right? And that then becomes worth it to maybe slow down a little bit so that you can speed up a little bit later on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's certainly, certain systems that, not just from like an operation standpoint, but from like a front end standpoint. But a lot of times it's like the owner that has to set it up for the agents, right? Like a lot of these things, like the way we build integrations is not like the agent has to go in and set up the integration. It's like once the owner sets it sets it up for the whole organization. And a lot of times they don't even know what's happening, the agent, right? And so it just streamlines things for the owner to have more visibility on what's going on in their business, right? So I think it just depends on the system and what you're doing, right? Um, or like maybe it's, we were talking earlier about the open house thing. Like the owner just needs to set up a form that everyone uses so they know to use the form, right? That goes into the CRM, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Getting
yeah.
people to integrate it and getting people to use it is probably more important than setting up something super fancy that nobody uses, right? Then
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, one of the companies we partner with right now called Fellow, right? We run their integrations for them. Okay. Is they, we made sure when we were working with them before they even launched their product that the user didn't really have to go and use their system at all. Right. It just connects to the CRM, and then we migrate all the data in from the CRM into Fellow. So Fellow can then start remarketing them to then regenerate leads back into their system and basically bring hot leads up, by marketing to their database, all the leads they already bought. But all that happens through integration back and forth. And it's like putting notes and showing what homes they looked at. And like, you don't really have to do anything. So just going back into the CRM. So the agent didn't have to adopt anything. The owner really didn't have to adopt much, right? This kind of had to go through a little bit of a setup process. So that's the type of systems you're looking for, is like, how does it not disturb like really my process that I may have in place already, or enhance it without me spending too much time on it and without affecting my agent's flow, right? And like what they do, and actually enhancing what they do because they're getting more information on more leads that they maybe generated 7 years ago that are actually ready to do something now. And they can see the engagement happening in the CRM. So it's creating more lead opportunity that are warm for them to follow up with,
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, Scott, I really appreciate you being here today. You shared a ton of value with us as far as what agents should be doing and
Yeah.
how to actually integrate more automations and more systems into their business easily without having to spend a ton of time learning a new system or doing something that's just wasting their time and not effective at all and not generating them results. So for our watchers or our viewers, if you will, and our listeners who are watching this today, that want to learn more about what you guys are doing, I know you guys have something very exciting coming up
Mhm.
as well. So for people who want to know more about what you guys are doing and maybe want to, partner up with your business and help them integrate some systems into their business, what are some of the best places for people to find you? And I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about some of the systems that you guys are working on and launching here soon.
Yeah. So before I do that, I want to say one more thing, Kobe, if you're okay with this.
Yeah.
One of the things I always tell agents when I'm consulting one is step back, get a piece of paper and a pen, like draw circles for your systems you have, and just think through like what you want to happen in that system to send data to the next system, and kind of that process we talked about, because it can be very overwhelming. So just slow down, start there, draw it out, visualize it a little bit, and then go and look for the systems that fit in. Okay. So that's my biggest advice. I tell the team owner that has a 200 agents that is, overwhelmed to the single agent, I tell them the same thing because it's the same, right? It's just different systems. Yeah. So dude, Scott at realsynch.com, just shoot me an email, realsynch.com, and it's SYNCH.com. When you're listening to this podcast, we've just released our new application, which basically is a new way of handling data and integration. And in addition to that, we wanted to give team owners and agents a business intelligence solution. It's really the first business intelligence solution within the real estate space, to where you can not only see agent activity, you can see lead source conversion rates, you can see progress trackers, you could see all your lead volume and commission on an agent and team level. And then also all the business insights that we're giving the team owner on like what's actually happening in their business. Why is this conversion rate low on this particular lead source? Why is this agent getting really good appointment sets, but not mets or not signed, right? Why is their conversion down on a particular lead source? We're going to give such tremendous insight. And we're also going to be giving recommendations on what needs to happen, in order to have higher conversion rates. Maybe it's more calls or more talk time or more contacts, where those things need to happen in your business and levers the pull. So all this is available right now at realsynch.com, our new business intelligence solution. We're super stoked about it.
Wow, that sounds awesome. I think there's a lot of people who are going to check that out. Thank you again, Scott, for being on the show. Really appreciate you. We will make sure to leave the links to all of that down below in the description, the show notes. But other than that, man, is there any last pieces of advice, any last tips you could share with us here today before we let you sign off?
I'll just say, circling back, like, embrace the change, because things are always changing. You have to grow, and growing's tough sometimes, and it's uncomfortable, but it means you're going in the right direction. So good luck to everyone out there.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you in the next show. Take care.
See you.